South London Healthcare NHS Trust is the NHS organisation that runs 3 of the 7 main hospitals in South East London. These include Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Woolwich, Princess Royal University Hospital in Farnborough, and Queen Mary's Hospital in Sidcup. South London Healthcare NHS Trust is the most financially challenged trust in the whole of the NHS. Since its formation 3 years ago, it's generated a debt of £153 million. In fact, it overspent by £65 million in the last financial year alone. And the Trust continues to overspend by around £1 million each and every week, meaning that by the end of March next year, South London Healthcare NHS Trust will have overspent by £207 million. This financial problem cannot continue. So, on the 16th of July 2012, a Trust Special Administrator was appointed by the Secretary of State for Health to examine the issues and propose recommendations to address this. In the NHS, the measure of a financially sustainable organisation is one that has money left over at the end of each year. This is called a surplus. NHS organisations are required to have a 1% surplus to ensure that they're managing their finances correctly. Making South London Healthcare financially sustainable means addressing the overspend, which in 2015-16 is expected to be £74.9 million, much larger than the overspend in this financial year, which is expected to be £54.2 million, as well as generating a 1% surplus, which is £4.2 million by the end of March 2016. Together, this adds up to a £79.1 million gap in 2015-16 that the Special Administrator must address. To do this in a way that protects patient care and makes sure services are sustainable for the long term is a real challenge. Matthew Kershaw, the Trust Special Administrator, understands the challenges involved and has overseen the creation of the first steps in addressing the problem. This short video highlights the draft recommendations he has put forward for your consideration.
The financial situation facing South London Trust and the wider part of South East London is not that different to how it would be if you were looking at your own budget at home. At home, you've got a certain amount of money that you've got available, and once you've used all of that money, you've used all of that money. You can't just keep on spending. The NHS is in exactly the same position. What South London as a whole system needs to do is make sure it gets the costs of its health service back in line with the amount of money that is available to run it. That's what you do at home, and that's what the hospital and the wider system in South East London need to do.
Matthew and his team have the job of developing a robust set of proposals for the public and government's consideration. From the extensive work and rigorous examination of the issues surrounding South London healthcare, a total of 6 recommendations have been drafted. These are: operational efficiency, developing a Bexley Health campus, wise use of buildings and estate, private finance initiative solution, redesigning services for patients, organisational solutions. Recommendation 1. Operational efficiency. All NHS trusts must carefully manage their resources, which includes staff, buildings, and all the equipment and clinical supplies that are required to treat patients. It is evident that more efficient NHS trusts spend less money on these resources than South London Healthcare. The Trust, like all NHS trusts, will be making every effort to reduce its costs and save money over the coming years. This is expected to be around £43 million. However, analysis has shown that the opportunity to run more efficiently is much bigger than this. By making some tough decisions on product purchasing, changing how operating theatres are used, and reorganising staff structures, it is estimated that South London Healthcare could save a further £35.4 million over the next 3 years. So to summarise, improve operational efficiencies across the Trust, delivering savings of £35.4 million. Recommendation 2. Developing a Bexley Health campus. The future of Queen Mary's Hospital has been an area for discussion between the NHS and the London Borough of Bexley for the last 2 years. Both are keen to maximise the hospital's potential as a provider of a range of healthcare services to local people. They have a vision for turning the site into a Bexley Health campus, and this vision is supported by the Trust Special Administrator. To invest in the estate and create the health campus, it is recommended that the space and buildings on the Queen Mary's site needed to create the campus are transferred or sold to Oxley's NHS Foundation Trust, who already provide a range of excellent care services at the site and are keen to invest into this site for the future benefit of patients. Developing a health campus is great for patients as they will have improved facilities and a range of services including urgent care, day surgery, radiotherapy, and mental health services. It will also help to address some of South London Healthcare's financial problems, as it would no longer have to meet the cost of running the buildings, which is £5.4 million each year. So to summarise, Queen Mary's Hospital is turned into a Bexley Health Campus, with a range of providers delivering care to local people. Land and buildings are owned by Oxley's NHS Foundation Trust. Recommendation 3. Wise use of buildings and estate. South London Healthcare NHS Trust has 3 main hospital sites, but also provides services from a number of other locations and buildings. Some of these buildings are underutilised or poorly used, providing services for only a few hours a day, yet the maintenance costs are very high. By addressing this issue and looking at building use, the Trust could save money and spend this on patient care. On top of many general improvements to the building usage across the existing estate, 3 significant opportunities have been identified. The sale of excess land at Queen Mary's Hospital will save £0.7 million a year. The sale of Orpington Hospital will save £1.5 million a year. Ending the lease at Beckenham Beacon will save £1.7 million a year. Selling these parts of South London Healthcare NHS Trust's estate doesn't mean the services to patients will stop. They will continue to be provided by other parts of the NHS. If these opportunities are fully realised, a saving of nearly £3.9 million could be achieved. So to summarise, vacant and poorly used buildings should be vacated or sold. Recommendation 4. Private Finance Initiative Solution. Each year, the Trust pays £69 million to maintain its PFI contracts for the Queen Elizabeth and Princess Royal University hospitals. Analysis has shown that these 2 contracts cost more than is affordable locally, and for this the Trust should not be penalised. It is therefore recommended that the Department of Health provides additional funds each year to the local NHS to cover some of the costs of the PFI buildings at Queen Elizabeth Hospital and Princess Royal University Hospital until the relevant contracts end. In 2015-16, this would total £25.1 million. So, in summary, the Department of Health should provide annual support to pay part of the PFI contracts at Queen Elizabeth Hospital and Princess Royal University Hospital. Recommendation 5. Redesigning services for patients.
What I've outlined will make a significant contribution to closing the gap, but it won't close it completely. Hospitals, individual hospitals, don't work on their own. They work as part of a connected system. And as a result, we've had to look at how South London Healthcare Trust works with other providers of health services in South East London. The challenges facing the wider South East London healthcare system are important as part of this work. The challenges facing South London Healthcare Trust on their own are huge. They're the biggest in the NHS. But it would also be true to say there are challenges and issues facing other organisations in South East London. For Lewisham Hospital, for example, the scale of their challenge is nowhere near as large as South London Healthcare Trust's, but for them to be a sustainable part of the health system going forward, they too need to address the issues facing them, and I believe that the work that we're doing, connecting it to the work we're doing for South London Healthcare Trust, will help them to achieve what they need to provide long-term sustainable services to their patients.
Lewisham Healthcare NHS Trust is expected to be making a loss from 2014-15 and by the end of March 2016 will be £3 million short of achieving a 1% surplus. The measure of a financially sustainable NHS organisation. Adding South London Healthcare's financial gap of £79.1 million to Lewisham Healthcare's gap of £3 million creates a total financial gap of £82.1 million for the NHS in South East London. The Special Administrator's recommendations need to address this total financial gap to ensure sustainable services are in place for all patients across South East London.
As I've worked with Matthew and other senior doctors and nurses, my key priority has been to seize this opportunity that's been created by the financial difficulties to make sure that we improve the quality of care for all patients in South East London. We know that the quality of care in every part of our healthcare system at the moment is not always consistent, and there are a set of standards that have been developed across London that would demonstrate that we could do an awful lot better, even save lives and certainly improve the quality of care.
To ensure that patients can continue to access high-quality, sustainable services in the future across all of South East London, changes need to be made to where and how services are delivered in 4 areas. Care in the community and closer to home, urgent and emergency care, maternity services, planned care. Care in the community. Currently, access to and the quality of community services, for example, GP services, community nurses and local clinics, is varied across South East London. This is why the 6 clinical commissioning groups in South East London have produced a plan to improve community-based care for the area. It is recommended that this is further developed and implemented to enable people to receive care in the most appropriate location, much of which will be closer to or in their home. Urgent and emergency care. Changing where and how emergency care services are delivered will allow the NHS in South East London to meet the agreed clinical standards for emergency care, and could save an extra 100 lives a year. The importance of having a senior consultant doctor available in departments and on wards 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, focused on caring for the most critically ill and injured patients, is key to maintaining these standards. To meet the clinical standards for emergency care, and increase the availability of specialist consultant doctors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for seriously ill patients, it is recommended those who are most critically ill will be best served by 4 major hospitals in the future instead of 5. It is recommended that these hospitals are King's College Hospital, St Thomas's Hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Princess Royal University Hospital. Care for those suffering from serious trauma incidents, stroke, heart attack and vascular difficulties will still be provided in the same hospitals they are now. There will continue to be urgent care centres at Queen Mary's Hospital, Guy's Hospital, and it is recommended that there will be a 24 hours a day, 7 day a week urgent care centre at University Hospital Lewisham. Maternity services. There are 2 options being considered for improving maternity services in South East London so they meet the clinical standards. The first of these is that consultant obstetrician-led deliveries across 4 major hospitals, which are King's College Hospital, St Thomas's Hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Princess Royal University Hospital. The second option is for consultant obstetrician-led deliveries to be across the 4 major hospitals, as well as having a standalone consultant obstetrician-led delivery unit at University Hospital Lewisham. Antenatal and postnatal care will continue to be delivered in a range of locations across South East London as it is today. Planned care. Planned care is when you know that you're having an operation or treatment and this is booked in advance. Planned care can sometimes experience last-minute changes or cancellations due to emergency care taking priority. Our proposals will improve patient experience, reduce cancellations, and reduce waiting times to come into hospital. Day case surgery should continue to be delivered across all 7 main hospitals, so it is accessible to patients. It is recommended that more complex operations should be delivered at the 4 major hospitals, so patients have access to backup intensive care services should they be required. These are King's College Hospital, St Thomas's Hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Princess Royal University Hospital. Specialist non-complex planned operations should be provided at Guy's Hospital, King's College Hospital and St Thomas's Hospital as they are today. For routine non-complex operations that require a stay in hospital, it is recommended that a new centre is created at University Hospital Lewisham that will serve the whole of South East London.
Many of you will be concerned because change is always difficult, but we've been really careful to carefully analyse what the changes will mean for particularly residents of Lewisham, and we know that if you're critically ill you can still get to a major hospital in plenty of time, and remember that your care starts the moment an ambulance comes.
The changes outlined will improve care for local people, as local NHS services will be better designed to meet clinical quality standards and deliver better care to patients. In conclusion, to improve the quality of care within the funding available, we must transform the way services across South East London are provided. Recommendation 6. Organisational solutions. It is felt that there is not enough capacity or capability within South London healthcare to take on these enormous changes in its current form. It is therefore recommended that the Trust stops being an organisation in its own right. This means the staff, services and assets will become part of other organisations. The options being considered to accommodate this change break down as follows. As previously outlined, Queen Mary's Hospital in Sidcup will become part of Oxley's NHS Foundation Trust and turned into the Bexley Health Campus. Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Woolwich will come together with Lewisham Healthcare NHS Trust, delivering services to local communities in Lewisham and Greenwich as one organisation. Princess Royal University Hospital in Farnborough has 2 proposals for consideration. The first and preferred option is for King's College Hospital NHS Foundation Trust to run the hospital and its services. The second is to run a procurement process to find the best organisation to run the hospital going forward. In addition, and to give the new organisations the best possible chance of success and not be saddled with problems of the past, the Special Administrator is proposing the Department of Health writes off the £207 million debt.
This is a problem that starts with South London Healthcare Trust. The Trust is overspending by over £1 million a week. That can't continue. It can't continue because there isn't the money available, and ultimately, if it does continue, there'll be a real risk that the improvements in quality of care that have happened recently will not be sustained because there won't be the money available to continue to provide those services. That's the bottom line. In addition to that, hospitals like South London Healthcare Trust don't work on their own. They don't work on their own, and therefore we have to do this work not just focused and concentrated on South London Healthcare Trust, but also how it works with the wider system around South East London. And therefore we've worked with other hospitals and GPs and the commissioners to find a set of recommendations that we believe will make a real demonstrable difference for South London and ensure the safety and the financially sustainable services can continue to be provided for the long term. I think that's absolutely crucial for patients. That's what they expect, that's what they deserve, and that's what, through these changes, we believe we can deliver.